How's it going, folks? My name is Matthew, aka EZBOT, and today we're back with another live stream. Today we're going to be using the Electron Octatrack to sample some modular synth sounds starring the Hermod Plus and its expander, which I've become pretty reliant on with my modular lately. The expander is a really powerful tool in with the Hermod Plus. It's just a cool sequencer. If you're into modular, you should check it out. We'll talk about that a little bit more, but mostly we're going to focus on sampling into the Octatrack and just making some nice sounds. That's what I'm really after today. If you're unfamiliar with the Electron Octatrack, well, let me show it to you really quick. It's an 8-track stereo sampler. It has 8 MIDI tracks on it, a crossfader, lets you do scenes, insert effects. It's kind of the precursor to a bit of what the ToneVerk has to offer. I'd say it's more powerful in terms of its sampling capability, whereas the ToneVerk is more powerful in terms of its polyphony and cool insert effects and bus routing and stuff like that. So they're similar beasts, but they're definitely different. So if you're looking at the ToneVerk, you should also be looking at an Octatrack. They're incredibly fun. The Octatrack to me is one of these extremely utilitarian samplers. It can do a lot of different functionalities. It can be a great MIDI sequencer, as an awesome arpeggiator. The scenes on it I've grown to love deeply. I've built a lot of my live performances really around the Octatrack and what its functionalities, what it can do, and like with lots of live performance effects, I make templates for the Octatrack, stuff like that. Those are things you can find out and check out more on my Patreon. What I want to do today is I want to sample some synth sounds from a couple modules in my Eurorack. You can see over here to the right, we got the Hermod right here. I'm able to pull the camera over like this, and we can dive a little bit further into some sound stuff as well. But we'll mostly be sitting here like this, looking at the Octatrack. We got a fresh project in the Octatrack. I haven't done anything special other than turn up the direct inputs so that we could listen to the modular. And the modular is actually coming through my Digitact, but we're not going to be using these boxes down here in today's session. We're going to be just grabbing some long samples, detuning them most likely, adding some effects to them on the Octatrack, and just starting with some like really beautiful randomization stuff that the Hermod Plus can do very quickly and very easily because I've already pre-set up these ideas on the Hermod Plus, and it just makes it really easy. It's just a single, well, it's a key combo. It's a combo press, but you do it one time and it just makes you a new sequence, and you can set different scales and stuff like that. So it just makes it really simple. You heard some of the sounds right in the intro. If I press play on my Octatrack, it's setting MIDI over to my Hermod Plus, and you can start hearing some of the sounds come in. Let me unmute these things really quick. Yes. Yes, so this is the type of stuff we're going to sample. We're going to bring it into the Octatrack and we're going to make it sound lo-fi, I guess is a way to put it. It's definitely going to be a lower fidelity than what we're hearing right now because I'm going to repitch it in the Octatrack. And that adds a bit of this lo-fi texture to it. And plus we can do all sorts of cool stuff. We can add distortion, saturation, so to speak. And I'm going to show you how to sample an Octatrack in the process. So if you have an Octatrack and you have a modular synth or anything else in your studio, you're going to learn how to sample today. So enjoy this tutorial, live tutorial, and I'll have the chat open. If people have some questions, they can ask some questions in the process. And hopefully I can help you learn a little bit about making ambient and also just about how to use an Electron Octatrack, which is something we specialize on this channel. On. We can say on a lot. I do want to point out that this stream is not sponsored by LaCroix, despite my years and years of asking them to sponsor me. So if everybody could just send snail mail to them with all sorts of, you know, just threats maybe that you're going to stop drinking their drink if they don't sponsor me, you could do that. It would really help me out. Also, I want to mention that we're not technically sponsored by this, but a Modbang. Oh, I thought I had a cool little image. Nope. Forget all that. Okay, forget it. We're getting right into it. Go to modbang.com. You can get yourself these cool MIDI cables that light up when you plug your gear into them. All right, let's get started. For the time being, we're gonna not have any sounds playing at the moment. We're just gonna get the Octatrack ready for sampling. Because we have a blank project, nothing is really set up yet. There's a couple different ways that you can approach sampling on the Octatrack. This is the way that I start a lot of my private lessons that I do. And I do offer private lessons. You can find those on EZBOT.live. When I'm starting a private lesson up, I'll be like, there's a lot of different ways to approach this. And that's no different for YouTube as it is for a one-on-one session. There's a couple different ways to get audio into your Octatrack. You can put a through machine. A through machine will let you bring audio into your Octatrack, but it'll also give you access to 2 insert effects so that you can process the audio through insert effects as you sample. This is a really popular way to sample on the Octatrack. That's not what we're going to do right now because we don't need to do that because we're just going to be making ambient from scratch here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to use the Octatrack's inputs and just monitor the inputs on the Octatrack. So one way of doing it is the through machine. You double press source. You'd go ahead and select a through machine. I'll just run you through it real quick. Press yes. You want to bring your track level up to 127. This gives you unity gain. You find the input that you want to use. I'm using A and B, I believe. You boost the gain to plus 63 or the volume to plus 63. This adds the 12 dB that it would be reducing by running it through the DSP. You put a trigger down and press play. And now you have audio coming in through a through machine, and then you can do effects on it. Okay, that's one way to do it. Another, I'm just going to mute this really quick, so maybe we will end up doing it that way. Another way to do it is just to turn up the direct. So if you have your direct turned down, we don't hear anything. We start to hear it. The truth of the matter is on the Octatrack, it's sampling. If you see these lights lighting up, the Octatrack can sample. That's just how it functions. So this is just monitoring. This is just for us to listen to. It doesn't actually mean that there's not anything happening. It's just you're not hearing it happen. That's what the mixer monitor does. So if I turn this down and we unmute this, we're not monitoring it anymore. Right now it's actually being processed in the Octatrack. And I guess since I already have it set up, we might as well just keep it this way, huh? And then I can play with some Octatrack effects, which is fun. Why not? Cool. So I'm going to be doing my sampling. I'll sample on these tracks over here. And then I can add neighbor tracks if I want to keep doing some more processing to the incoming audio, just to make this far more complicated than it needs to be for people that are new. If you are new. Let me switch this over to the right side, because we need to be able to see these buttons. This is really important for new Octatrack users. Okay, now let's get ready to sample, because we're already at the process of sampling. Sampling the Octatrack is not super mysterious. It's not as difficult as you think it might be. It just doesn't have anything prepared for you. It doesn't have any hand-holding done. You buy a Digitact, you even buy the Toneverk, which is much more complex than the Digitact, but you buy a Digitact or a Toneverk, its sampler is built for you to have no idea what you're doing and to just have it work. Like, it just functions. It's prepared. Let's just put it that way. It's already set up and prepared for you. That's what makes the Digitact, I think, the best sampler on the market today, because it really is just that simple. It's stereo, it does slicing, it does all the stuff. It's a great sampler. The Octatrack is a completely different beast. It does a lot of different things. So people would argue that this is the best sampler ever in the world. I like the Digitact for actual production more so, but I think that this is a much more utilitarian and more powerful sampler because of its live resampling capabilities, insert effects, and the crossfader. So there's a lot of different arguments you can have here. But let's get started with it. I'm gonna go over to track 5 and I'm gonna do my sampling over here. Sampling is best done on a flex track. It's more useful on a flex track, but technically you can actually sample on any track. Just hitting Rec 3 or hitting any of the record buttons while selected on here when you have quick record mode enabled. Let's just show that off really quick. You go into System, Personalize, scroll down to the bottom here, and if you have quick record mode on, this lets you just hit these buttons as opposed to holding a track and hitting these buttons, which is what you'd have to do had you not turned on quick record mode. Quick record mode is a really common feature or a really common thing to use on the Octatrack for people that are a little bit more used to using the Octatrack. You turn quick record mode on. The only thing about quick record mode is that if you hit these buttons, it'll sample, right? And there is a bit of there's a gotcha there because you might remove a sample from your recording buffer. That's what I'm trying to say. So, but otherwise, it's really to your advantage to use quick record mode. I highly recommend it. While quick record mode is still activated, you can still hold a track and hit these buttons and record to that track while selected on that track. So double whammy, super good stuff, right? So let's turn this track into a flex machine, or yes, a flex machine. Go to double press source, go ahead and select flex. We might do slicing. I'm honestly not sure if I'm gonna do any slicing to this ambient stuff. I more like want to grab layers, process the layers, and just enjoy the sounds. I think that that's good enough for me. So I don't know if we'll be doing any slicing in this particular session today. So if you're hoping to learn about that, I don't know if we're doing that today. We'll see. I never really know where it's going to take me, but we're definitely going to do some sampling. All right, now that we have it turned into a flex track, what we want to do is we want to assign a recording buffer. The Octatrack has 8 recording buffers, pretty cool. There's a recording buffer assigned to every single track. You can't move them around, you can't mix and match them, anything like that. They're assigned, they're fixed, that's where they are. What's cool about a flex track is that it's flexible. It can target different recording buffers that live in these different spots on the Octatrack. So I can record onto recording buffer 5, but I could listen to that recording buffer on any of these other tracks. So technically, we could record one time and have all these set up as flex tracks and have them all set up on recording buffer 5 and process that recorded audio in real time without saving it to the compact flash card and like repitch them and add different effects to them, all from one recording. That's how the Octatrack works, and that's how a flex machine works. That's why flex machines are cool. They're flexible, they're little gymnastic sampling robots. Think about them like that, maybe, or don't. So I'm gonna assign recording buffer 5 to track 5. Typically you want to assign your recording buffer to the same track you're recording on. That way when you record it, you can listen back to it at the same time. That makes sense, right? Cool, so I like to bring my track level up to 127 when I'm sampling, and the reason I do this is because anything below 127 just starts reducing the output of this track's recording or anything that's happening on that track. This is going to be, a relative adjustment to that output volume. So if I put it at 127, it's just playing it back at its recorded level. So it's not doing any sort of reduction. We would call this unity gain. And I find it helpful to just hear things back after I've recorded them exactly at the same volume that I heard them back as I was listening to them, if that makes sense to you. So that's why I like to bring my track levels up to 127. And then after the fact, when I want to do some mixing, that's when I start adjusting track levels. Because like I said, this track level is going to adjust the relative volume of everything on that track. You don't parameter lock your track level. You parameter lock your amp level. So this is where you do dynamics on your track, is on your amp with the volume. You don't do it with your track level. Hopefully that helps you as well. Cool. So when you want to get things set up for your recordings, what you want to do is go over to your recording setup. You'll see it says recording setup 1, recording setup 2, and there's this rec edit thing as well. And that's a cool little shortcut function. And we're going to use that and jump in there all the time. Anytime you want to get to a recording, like say we wanted to record on this static track and I hit the button, you see a little plus symbol, it's recording, but you don't have access to recordings on static tracks. You have access to the compact flash card on static tracks, but you can trick the Octatrack. It's actually not a trick, it's a built-in feature, but it feels like a trick. You go function rec3, edit this recording, and that will take you into a recording buffer that sits behind the track. So this is recording buffer 6 we're looking at. There's nothing there, it was just silence, but I'm just showing you something. This is my point, is that you can always record anytime. You could save that audio if you trusted the Octatrack and load it into something else, right? So there's a lot of advantages to just knowing these record functions. So function rec1 is going to take us into recording setup 1, and this is where you're going to do all your assignments on how this particular recording buffer works for this particular part. So the parts, which are kits, think of parts as drum kits, sequencer as the drummer. These are the cymbals. All of this stuff are the drums and cymbals around your drum kit. The sequencer is banging on that stuff. And you have 4 different kits in your Octatrack. So when I change these kits, it's going to change what's happening in my recording buffers. It's going to change the default assignments to all these tracks, whether they're through tracks, neighbor tracks, static tracks, the effects I've chosen, the LFOs I've chosen, but it will not change anything on my step recorder. That's very important for you to understand as well. But we're just going to play with part 1 for now. I don't even know if I'm going to go beyond part 1. You often don't need to go beyond your parts. Okay, so I got my track level at 127. I'm gonna set up my recorder for this particular track. When you're looking at a window, a recording window, or any window for that matter, you can jump onto different tracks. You can see I'm editing this window, but I'm now editing it on track 1. I'm now editing on track 5. This is very good and very cool. I like this functionality on all machines. Lets you just jump around and edit stuff really quick. So what I want to target is my through machine, because we're bringing the audio in through the through machine, even though at the beginning of this I said I wasn't going to do that, and we ended up doing it anyway. That's because I'm a liar. So we're going to target the through machine. So I'm going to use source 3. Source 3 lets you do internal targeting. So you can target the queue, which the queue is really great because you could hold queue, select tracks, and you could bounce down tracks and then target the queue bus, and you could use that as recording. Pretty cool feature as well. You can target the main outs. There's some volume stuff that you have to deal with when you target the main outs. You got to think about that when you do gain in your mix with the main outs and your sampling. It's also going to apply gain to your sample, so it's going to sound a whole hell of a lot louder than when you recorded it. When you target the main outs, it makes you have to go into your audio editor and reduce the gain of the sample. I find it annoying and frustrating. It makes it so you can't do live resampling with the main outs. You have to target a track for live resampling if you're going to use it as something in a live performance context. And that's why we don't target the main outs for live resampling and live performances. But you can use the main outs for targeting live resampling when you're doing it in your production, because you can go in and adjust the gain of your sample. Hopefully that helps you understand a little bit about that's a little bit of a mysterious thing I'm talking about right now. This is something that I think might frustrate users and like, why is it so loud? That's why. There's a plus 12 gain automatically in your audio editor. But when we target a track, we're good. So nothing to worry about with that. All right, so we're going to target track 1 because that's where there's through machines on. I'm just going to turn these off, and we're going to use a one-shot recorder. One-shot recorders are great. One-shot recorders use a sequencer trigger. So you can see when I hit this sequencer trigger, see this lighten up right here? Let me know what this trigger is targeting. So I could turn these off. I could turn them back on if I want. So I can say, I want this trigger to target Rec 3. Rec 3 is set to target track 1. Track 1 is a through machine. Bring in the audio in from my Digitact, which my modular is running through. That's how we're going to get the audio into my recording buffer. That sounds complex. It is. It is for sure. But, you know, we can grok it. So when you do a one-shot recorder on the Octatrack, and we can do a couple different methods of sampling just to kind of like, just to teach you something. But if you're going to do a one-shot recorder, and this is the most useful recording technique, I think, because it's so easily quantized to your pattern length, you have to use or you can use a recorder trigger. Sorry, I keep calling it a one-shot recorder, and it's not that yet. It's just a recorder trigger. A one-shot recording trigger is when you hold function and you select this trigger. You can do this with regular triggers as well. And this is a recording trigger, and that's because I'm in the recording menu. When you're in the recording menu, it jumps you to the recording sequencer. So check this out. When I leave this sequencer, we're still in step edit. Our trigger is gone, but I can still place trigs down. That's because we have gone into another sequencer. There's 4 sequencers on the Octatrack. You can check them out right here. Function, bank, look at all the sequencers. Trig sequencer, slide sequencer, swing sequencer, and lastly, recording sequencer. And you can see right there, there's a recorded trigger on record sequencer. There it is. So another way for us to look at that sequencer, I love this way of doing it. Function rec 1 or rec 2 will shortcut you to the recording sequencer, and then when you hit no, it takes you back to your regular sequencer. And I find that very useful because when I'm here, I know what I'm doing. The menu says, you're doing recording stuff. I'm assuming I'm doing recording stuff. So I don't know whether you like that or not. I think it's useful. Cool. So I want to record, we'll just do like 4-bar recordings for now. I'm going to keep this simple for myself and also for anybody who's watching if they're trying to like follow along with this. I'm just going to set my recording length to 4 bars long. But was I lying? Am I going to do something more complex? I might. If I wanted to do like 8 bars, for instance, the sequences I have in my Hermod off to the corner of the screen here, they are 8-bar sequences, so it would be nice to get the whole sequence, wouldn't it? Maybe we'll do both just to kind of show it off. So the 4-bar recording is really simple. Right now with this recorder trigger, it's set up to record Rec 3, which is track 1 or through machine, and its max length is 64 steps. All I got to do is leave, hit the yes. Test volume, I want that at 0. Hit the yes button to arm all. That arms all one-shot recorders. And that's because I'm not in step edit, so I'm at the top perspective of the Octatrack looking at all of my tracks. When I hit yes, it arms every single one of them. If I was inside my track and I hit yes, it will arm the track. That's pretty cool. If I hold the track and hit yes, it'll just arm the recorder. Also pretty cool. If I'm out of the recorder and hold this and hit yes, it also arms the recorder. So if you want to arm your recorder explicitly, not arm every single track because you have other one-shots, hold the track and hit the yes button, and that will just arm the recorder track. Okay? So we can hold this, hit yes, and I can hit play, and we can grab 4 bars of audio. And there it is, going into the Octatrack. All the good stuff starts happening later in the track. That's why we're gonna have to maybe do a longer recording. And I fooled you again. Whoops. What am I doing? There we go. I just wanted to adjust the dynamics. Let's have a listen to it really quick. Here's the cool thing about the Octatrack. I mean, there's a lot of cool things about the Octatrack, but here's one of the really cool things about the Octatrack. I don't have to save this recording. I can have fun with it right now. The Octatrack lets you record into the buffer and treat recordings like they're saved samples. I don't know any other things that do that. Maybe maybe an NPC does it. I don't know. Kai never sent one to me. Thanks a lot for nothing. But maybe it does that. I don't know. But I don't know of anything else that does that other than the computer. The computer definitely does that. So if I want, I could put down a trigger and maybe mute my through machine, and then we'll just hear this recording. It's being time stretched. We only have 1 bar on our sequencer right now. And even that's kind of cool. I could throw a kick drum behind that and probably start having a good time just with this. That's how easy it is to have fun sampling. I could turn off the time stretch and we'll just hear it normal. If I want, I could repitch it right here. Or play it in reverse. How cool is that? I mean, we barely did anything. A little bit of a click there. I used some of the attack from my envelope. Piece of cake. Pizza cake, I like to say. You ever had pizza cake? I haven't. That sounds awful. Don't try it. Alright, let's not do that though. Let's get more. I want more. I want a longer sample, it turns out. I mean, we have a 4-bar sample. The only reason we're not hearing 4 bars of the sample is because my track length is set to only 1 bar, and I haven't even set my Octatrack up to have independent track lengths, which is something I think the Octatrack should have by default. And all the machines should be set to that by default. I don't know why they're not. But you go function pattern, and you can set your scale mode to per track, and then we go function page. And now I have a master length. I'm going to set it to 128 because I know my Hermod's at 128. And I'm going to set this to 4 bars for now. Well, I'm going to set it to 4 bars regardless, because if we want to do 128 steps on the Octatrack, we have to divide the sequencer's speed by a half to reach 128 steps anyway. So it'll be 4 bars regardless. But let's take a listen to our track, or our sample that we've recorded across all 4 bars. There we go. Nice, right? Now, when we reversed it, it sounded really good because we were hearing that end where all the meat was coming in. Yeah. That's the good stuff. We want the good stuff. So I think we need to do a longer recording. Let me show you how to do that. I didn't intend on getting so deep on the sampling here, but what are you gonna do? This is just what happens to me. All right, we're gonna keep our recording trigger going. The recording trigger is fine. I mean, technically we don't even need the recording trigger, but actually let's take the recording trigger away. Let's learn how to do it without a recording trigger. So what I want to do is I want to get a longer sample than 64 steps. I'm going to go to the max length. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to use the speed of my sequencer, and it's going to use my master length, essentially. I'm going to go function rec2. I'm going to set my recording quantization up to the pattern length. And this will let me record the length of the pattern. So if the pattern's set at 128 steps, or if it's moving 64 steps at half resolution to 128, that's how long it's going to record for. The trick is you must have your recorder set up on trig 1, 2, not trig 1. Trig 1 will just apply, it'll just turn on the recorder one time and it won't turn it off for you. So it's looking for a recording length, trig 1 is. It really wants to work together with the recording length. Recording length set to max. Trig 1 is kind of like, well, I'll just record forever. It'll record until you hit the stop button, essentially. So, not as useful. Although you could hold the track and hit stop, and that will work too. But it's just not as useful a way of recording. So what you want to do is set it to trig 1.2. Trig 1.2 lets you hit a button to start a recording and hit a button to stop a recording. All this stuff in here with these triggers, it's literally referring to these buttons. They're the triggers. Your recording trigger, that's not an actual trigger according to this. They're not associated. They're not friends at all. They don't get along. No communication between the sequencer and these, except for when you do the recorder trigger itself to choose the sources. But it's not like doing a button press for you. There's not a mechanic in here that's telling the Octatrack to think in button presses. Okay, so you have to actually hit the buttons. Record 1.2 is nice. You hit a button, you hit a button. One to start, one to stop. That's how trig 1.2 works. Trig hold lets you hold the button, and with different quantization features is actually really useful. So you can hold a button and it won't start recording until it hits a certain segment of quantization, like 16 steps. It might wait. So if you hit it on step 9, it'll wait till step 16 to start recording. You can do stuff like that. You can get really, really technical with how you record on the Octatrack for sure. But we're going to use trig 1.2, and what I want to do is go to my record setup, and we can set our quantization. We could set it to the pattern length, which is currently set at 4 bars, or I could actually just set it to 128. And if I set it to 128, then we can record with the button press. It won't start the recording until it's passed over, because well, this is where the recorder trig would be useful, actually. But we'd have to wait 128 steps for the recording to start, then it would start, and then when I hit the trig again, it'll actually stop the recording at the end of 128, giving us a perfectly quantized recording of 128 steps. This probably sounds confusing. It's a little confusing to even speak it to you, but I know it's true. And it's one of the weird things that you can do with Octatrack. It's not like in the manual, like this is how you do longer quantized recordings, do this particular step. It's not. This is something that Electron users like myself figured out with Octatrack on how to do quantized recordings. So I do want to set this to be half speed, so I'm going to use these arrows. Find myself on the track speed multiplier. Right now it's at 1x, meaning it's a multiple, it's 1, you know. 64 times 1 is 64. 64 times 1/2 is going to be 128. I mean, that's not how actual math works, but it's half the speed, so it would be 32, right? Yeah, so let's go ahead and do that. We'll set it at 64 at half speed. Set the rate to forward at 0, meaning it's just going to play back at its typical rate. And now I can press play, and the sequencer is going to run, and I have this set to quantize at 128 steps. So when I hit rec 3, hold on a second. Oops. My recorder was already running from a recorder trig, I think. Yeah, I have recorder trigs all over the place. Get out of here. I multiplied my recorder trigs on accident. This is a very common mistake that I make, and a lot of people make, I think. You put a trigger down and you expand your pages, it doubles what's on your pages. What's kind of interesting is this is a functionality you can turn off on the new Electron boxes, Digitech 2 and Digitone 2. You can actually turn off page duplication when you duplicate your pages, so it doesn't duplicate the triggers, which I think is pretty cool, although I kind of expect it to duplicate. That's where I'm at, but you do whatever you want. I ain't telling you what to do. All right, so let's go ahead and hit play. I'm gonna hit rec 3, It's not going to start the recording until after 120 steps. We're going to listen to this, do its ambient sequence. I can mess with my modular. We could go wonk, and I can play with stuff. But I also really want you to see what the Octatrack's about to do. Alright, you can see the Octatrack has started its recording process. I'm now going to hit Rec 3 again, and this will tell the Octatrack to stop the recording after 8 bars. So let's go ahead and just, let's get some cool sounds going. This is our lovely recording. Very cool. One thing you got to understand, I need you to understand, everybody needs to understand this. The 128 here and the record length max, no matter what your sequencer value is set to, if it's quarter, you know, if you're doing this multiplication or half value with your Octatrack and you're saying record at half speed or record at quarter speed, record at quarter speed, half speed, 3/4 speed, or 1x or 2x. This does not apply to this value. 64 means 64 16th notes no matter what you put in here. So if this is turned on, you need to understand that it's going to be 4 bars no matter what you have. No matter how fast your sequencer is running or how slow it's running, you're getting 4 bars at 16th notes at the BPM of your Octatrack, whether it's externally clocked or internally clocked. That's what's going to happen. So we have our first recording. It's lovely, beautiful, ambient mess, just the way I like it. Ah, yes. We have attributes, we can go and check it out. Do all sorts of cool stuff with it. What did I set my... Yeah, okay. Whatever. Alright, so I'm going to put a trigger down so we can play this back. I am going to mute my through track and just play with the sample. Whoops. We're going to put that trigger somewhere weird. Let's save the sample. It's fine with me. We'll assign it to self. I think I had like my Octatrack like corrupted the file. Hang on a second. Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, what the hell? How dare you? Go ahead and mute that. All right. Set this to, yeah, have this play at half speed. Trigger back. Ooh, the tasty treats have begun. Ah, I love doing that. This should have time stretch on. Could turn it, we could actually have it be time stretch it, and then now we're in this like beautiful granular realm. Absolutely lovely, as per usual. I'm gonna get a random sequence out of my Hermod really quick. And I think I might mute track 2. Turn my through machine back on. I think track 1. Yeah. I mean, that just sounds terrible, doesn't it? Okay, back over to the Octatrack. James Lennon, you've had ice cream pizza? Ice cream pizza, huh? I don't know if I believe you. What's going on, folks? Thanks everybody for coming by. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, shame on you. And subscribe. I should sample that. Very hyped for this video topic, but you need to sleep. Well, this will put you to sleep, there's no doubt. All right. Let's do some more sampling. That does sound really nice. Excuse me. Still getting better. I'm not fully well yet. I got like so sick the other week. Okay, I'm gonna go back over to track 5. I'm gonna unmute it. I don't need it to do any sort of playback. I'm going to clear out this file. So I'm gonna clear the slot. Association removed. Now it's back to looking at recording buffer 5 explicitly and not the I I don't have a sample living inside the recording buffer anymore. The recording buffer is clean. Well, it's supposed to be. So much for the sample association. Let me clear this recording buffer. Yes, clear its content. Thank you. If you go function clear on your recording buffer, you'll clear the recording buffer's content. Okay, so we have an empty recording buffer. I'm going to get some new stuff. I'm going to do another method here. We're going to set this to pattern length, PLEN, instead of 128. And the pattern is 64 at half speed. And my master length is 128. And I'm absolutely going blind. God damn, really having trouble seeing these days. Go to my recording buffer. Let's do the one-shot combo. So you put a one-shot trigger down, you hold function, you select it. You put a trigger down while in the recorder setup. This is a recording trigger. Hold function, select it. That's a one-shot trigger, okay? Here's the thing, I was telling you, the one-shot trigger does not tell the it doesn't do a button press for you. So the trig 1-2 is the only way to get longer than 4-bar sequences that are quantized, right? The recorder trigger doesn't tell it to do 1 or 2. It ignores it. So even if I have my quantized recording set up, it doesn't matter. It's not going to record for 128 steps. It's just going to keep going. It's going to keep recording. That's just telling it when to start recording, not when to stop recording. So what we want to do is we have our trig down for us to record. We hit yes. It arms our recorder, or we hold the track and hit yes, either way. Hit yes to arm our recorder. And then when it starts recording, we just hit rec 3 again. And that will tell, we hit it twice, 2 times. Because that's 1 on, 1 off. Because the Octatrack still needs to see that happen 2 times. The off message is on the second button press. Isn't that crazy? It's kind of weird, but that is how it functions. So for us to get 128 steps, this is what we got to do. So we go yes to arm it. The advantage of doing it this way is that we don't have to wait 8 bars for the recorder or for the sequencer to go around for the quantization feature to kick in. It'll just start right now. So I can just grab this recording immediately and just go, yeah. So it's recording, and then I go 1, 2, and that will tell it to stop at the end of the sequence. Keep on going, buddy. Keep on going. And I don't know why it stopped there. I think my recording buffer filled up. Why'd you stop at 6 bars? Take me to the memory config. No, that's not why. What's going on here? It's supposed to be 8 bars long, which would be 120. Why would you stop at exactly 6 bars? That's not normal. Honestly, I think it's just bugging out. Yeah, this track is totally bugged. What is happening to you? I want to try something really quick. I'll copy this part and go to another one. I go to part 2. Oh, that fixed it. Oh. No, it didn't. That's definitely why it's not recording for 8 bars, because it's not even playing back triggers. Yeah. We got it bugged out. Hang on a second. Save the project. Always unfortunate when you have an Octatrack bug like that. I think we might have to just well, we can actually try just going to another pattern. Maybe it won't be bugged out. Or even another bank. Let's go to bank 2, pattern 1, paste 2. And then also paste pattern, make one pattern 1, part 1, copy, bank 2, pattern 1, paste, select that part. Oh, that's still busted on that part too. Super weird. Try another experiment here. Let's go to a flex machine, assign this to recording buffer 5, put a trigger down. That works. So it's this particular flex machine that's busted? All right. This has actually happened to me quite a few times with the Octatrack. It can get pretty weird. This is a brand new project, so this isn't like anything special. This is literally just brand new. It's probably my SD card or compact flash card. Yeah, okay. Well, I guess we'll just track 5. You're dead to us. We will ignore you. We are going to use track 7 and 8 from now on, since my track 5 is cooked. Let's go ahead and make this do what we wanted it to do. Nice. See, it's doing what it's supposed to do on this track. Let's go ahead and throw like a spatializer on here. Mid-side split. We'll do a side gain, mid reduction. You can hear it added some like stereo goodness to it. Play back in a reverse half speed. Turn these into ping pong delays, why not? We could have like a really slow moving LFO target the pitch if we wanted. 1x, bring the speed even further down. Let's have it go fast first. Cool. I think we have a really nice bed for the tunes right now. I want to try an experiment over here with the Hermod real quick. I'm gonna shift gears a little bit. I had an idea on how to get some, like, not necessarily generative, I mean kind of generative. Hey. It's kind of a way to, hello. Turn the Octatrack off. As kind of a way to reuse your sequences. I was like, what would happen if you used a Euclidean sequencer and you set the pattern generation to 100%? What it would do is it would fill the entire pattern with notes, so it'd be gates and pitches. But I don't necessarily need the gate. So what I would do is turn the gate off or replace gate with a Euclidean sequencer, and it would just send Euclid gates. But those Euclidean gates will trigger the amplifier and the filter, and those notes, basically it'll trigger the notes, essentially. It'll make the notes be audible at a Euclidean sequence as opposed to the typical note on with gate sequence. That was the idea I had. And I think it should work. So what I need to do is on this track, change my generator settings to 100%. Density max 100%. And density minimum 100%. And that should do the trick. Yes. So every single trigger now has a sequence on it. We can actually hear what that sounds like. Let me turn that on really quick and turn these tracks off so we just hear the incoming audio. Okay, this is the without the Euclidean concept happening. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the gate output on this track. I'm going to hold 1, and it lets me change what the expander does. Let me talk about the expander for 1 second really quick. What is really cool about this expander is that essentially, like, once I got familiar with the expander, I kind of felt like I mean, this is another CV and gate pair that I can use and a whole nother set of tracks. But it's just, I don't ever need 16 tracks in my modular. So the expander, you can do some matrix routing stuff where you can kind of use them both at the same time on one track, like have this all be one track. It's kind of a pain to me. So I prefer this as a much faster method when you're using the expander. Just select these as your tracks and just to switch down to 8 tracks and have 4 different outputs per track. And then, you know, these could be something else. These could be modulator tracks, or these could be clocks or something, whatever you want them to be. So currently we're going to use track 1, and you hold step, and this selects your different modifiers. So you can have it be the pitch, the velocity, aftertouch, sustain, and then these are different mods. And I have only one mod being used on the track so far, or no mods. I'm using velocity and pitch exclusively, but I do have a gate set up. So right here, I just click down on it, and now I can change what it does. And what I want to do is I want to leave it on gate, I believe. And I want to hold this, and I want to go to number 2. Or what I want to do is put a Euclidean sequencer. Yeah, I want to just throw down a Euclidean sequencer. So actually I'm going to go to Actually, I could use this. This might actually be an easier way to do it. Let's put a Euclidean sequencer right here. Doi. And then just pop this cable out and pop it in there. Destination. I want it to be mod. Mode trig. Yeah. Do I want it to be mod? Let's just see what happens here. Oh, I set envelope? I'm a genius. Why didn't anybody tell me? Oops. Euclid. Okay. Yeah, I don't care what it is. Let's get like a weird number. Alright, all sorts of weird stuff we could do. Let's take this gate out and put it on this one. Nice. Alright, here, my idea realized very quickly. This is what's cool about the Hermod Plus, okay? Not that this whole thing is about the Hermod Plus, but we're really just making an ambient medley. But what I think is really cool is that it's very easy for me to just build out these ideas where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna switch over, let me add a Euclidean sequencer, bam. Let me add an envelope generator, bam. You know, even has a tuner in it, has so many tracks, and most of the module is like just outputs, which is great if you have a large case. This isn't like a humongous case here, but it's incredibly useful. I do like having 4 outs per track and the ability to change what those outputs do. You can do all sorts of weird stuff. I like using these polyphonic modules. They stay in tune. You can hear there's a velocity mod going to the filter. It sounds really cool. Okay, now let's get some effects going. Yeah. All right, so now we can turn that track back on that we have our actual samples on. I think we have it on 6 and 7 right now, so... Tactical MIDI says, can the Toneverg be used as an effects box? I've thought about that quite a bit. It just, yes, it can, but like also you need, so like a combination with like the noise site drop in the Toneverg, if you wanted to take those 2 boxes and pair them together to make your own performer performance box, you're talking almost $3,000 to do that. A massive amount of programming and a pretty complex setup. Yes, it can be done. Pairing those two together, you can have a very effective performance mixer, kind of similar to what I do with the Octatrack. I don't see people doing that because it would be insane. It would take a massive amount of time, and it probably wouldn't be worth the effort. I mean, it would sound cool in the end, but I don't know if it would be really, really worth the effort, to be honest. So I would say not really. Tonefork's not really set up for that. Not like the way the Octatrack is. The Octatrack's really easy. It has a crossfader and scenes. I mean, it's literally built for doing effects. All right, I want to get another sample. So we're going to use track 7 again. I did get a sample in track 7 already. That LFO is doing some real work, isn't it? Let's turn that off. Let me hear it again really quick. Were we doing any effects on these? On here? Did I do effects? No, just on this. Spatializer. All right, let's turn that down. Let's print this. So let's go ahead and save this sample. Function rec3 is a fast way to save your samples. So save this recording, assign it to self. Cool. All right. I guess I didn't really want to assign it to self, so I'm going to put it on this track. Put it right there. Error 0 length file. This is what's happening. I'm having some weird errors on my Octatrack. That's why we were having that trouble earlier. A 0 length file? What? Why is that? It's not a 0 length file. Let's just do, let's try save sample copy and see what happens. What happens if we load it? Oh, okay. There it is. I don't know what's going. Yeah, this won't happen on your Octatracks. Okay, this is just happening on mine. It's having some sort of issue. I probably should just turn it off, turn it back on. Probably just because I've had it on for too long and I haven't turned it off in a really long time. My Octatrack is just basically running 24 hours a day, but that's why we're running into these weird little bugaboos. But shouldn't be a problem now. Yeah, there we go. I actually want that sample on track 8. So let's go ahead and hit yes here and just grab the one that actually works. Let's delete that weird broken sample. Oh, it deleted both samples. Come here. Give me that back. Here we go. All right. Trigger. Let's make this 64 steps. Half speed. Place. Clear this out. Clear. Clear slot. Let's go in here to a recording buffer 7 and go ahead and clear that. Start with something new. Okay, now I'm just moving quickly because I want to get my sample. So I do want to target track 1. Go away, little thing. Just want to hear this for now. That sounds like something nice to sample. Okay, let's do the thing. Chord length max. Set this to quantize to the pattern length. Set this to trig 1, 2. Go ahead and start. Oh, let's do a recorder trig to make this easy on me. Can leave the step signature, hit yes, and just make sure. Oh, yeah, of course. It's targeting the correct track. Oh, gosh. It's not targeting this recording buffer. Let's go file. Oops. I'll just do save sample and put it on another track. We have one here. This we're going to mute, bring these back in. We'll throw it over here. Let's go ahead and just assign it here. Make this track 8 bars long. Put my trigger down. Mute my incoming audio, and let's play that in reverse, because why not? Nice. Very pretty. Volume. That's always fun. Let's do like a... ourselves some space. Ooh, that's cool. Turned up the distortion on the filter. But I brought the track level down so that it's not too much. Yes. How do you feel about playing back flex tracks at 16 steps, 1/8 speed versus 64 steps, 1/2 speed? I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it matters depending on what you want to do. So if you want to, like, have more resolution to work with on the grid, you want more steps. Let's make a scene. Otherwise, otherwise that won't do that for you. Besides running into some card errors with my Octatrack, which is unfortunate. I hate running into card errors in general, but especially live on stream. It rarely ever happens. It does happen to me. I use the Octatrack so much that I run into errors pretty often, just because I'm on it every day. But besides that, I think this turned out pretty good. It's like it's a great bed, the beginning to a track. And in fact, I think if I was to, you know, jump back onto here and bring my through machine back in. Get some delay going on it. Yes. Yes, we've achieved what we were after. That really slowed it down. Maybe I should add a slide to it. Do that on this one. See how this works. Cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed the discussion and talking about the Octatrack and all that kind of stuff. Definitely the intro where I was just discussing on how to set up the recorders and all of that, despite the errors that my compact flash card was having. All of that hopefully is really helpful for you in doing 8-bar loops and stuff. I have a tutorial video that's very concise and clean cut on how to do 8, 16, and 32 bar loops, quantized loops, consistently, perfectly every single time. It's called Record Ridiculously Long Loops. You'll find that on my YouTube channel. It's a good one for you to check out. If you'd like to support this channel, you can visit patreon.com/EZBOT, and that supports the channel directly. There's affiliate links in the video description, also supports the channel directly. And if you want to buy my performance templates, you can visit coffee.com/EZBOT. And if you want to get private lessons from me on any of this Electron stuff, modular synthesis, M8 tracker, you can visit ezbot.live and pick up private lessons from me. If you'd like to perform at some of the live events that I curate, they're called Modbangs. They're live hardware electronic music shows. You can email mod@modbang.com and we'll get you set up with that. Otherwise, thank you everybody for hanging out and visiting the channel once again. We do this every Tuesday. I'm trying to do it as many times a week as I possibly can, but at least every single Tuesday. I missed last Tuesday because I was so sick. But we do this every Tuesday, and I want to do it every Tuesday and Friday if I can, if not Saturday, so that I can just, because I enjoy streaming, and this is when I get the most work done for myself, is when I am able to share my music with other people. And I'm way more motivated to make music and more inspired when there's someone there to listen to it besides myself. That might not be the case for everybody, but it's definitely the case for me. So I love to stream, and streaming really helps me get the job done. So I appreciate you for hanging out and checking it out. Again, my name is Matthew, aka EZBOT. I will see y'all next week, if not this weekend, with another live stream.